What's up, everybody? Ryan Thomas on the Thomas Take Sports Podcast once again. What a week it has been for me. Yesterday, I had the pleasure of joining Trainwreck Sports' very own Josh Rest J-Dubs on the Trainwreck Sports Fantasy Football Show. If you haven't tuned into that yet, it is available on the Trainwreck Sports Apple Podcast station. If you haven't tuned into it yet, it is also available on the Trainwreck Sports Spotify channel. A true pleasure joining that show and talking all things fantasy football with Josh and talking much, much more on the Trainwreck Sports Fantasy Football Show. So that being said, today, Friday, September 20th, big day for the show. Today's show will be focusing on the Week 3 clash between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Buffalo Bills, the home opener this Sunday at New Era Field, live at 1 o'clock, Orchard Park, New York. Tables will be broken, fans will be screaming, Josh Allen will be dropping dimes to John Brown, and we might not have Devin Singletary. Much more on that in a little bit, but today is also a really good day. Friday, Soho in Buffalo. Check it out, Soho Bar and Grill or Soho Bar. You guys know where it is in Buffalo. And the best part of that event is that you'll see all sorts of Buffalo, podcast personalities out there. Myself, Degenerate Al of Trainwreck Sports. It is considered the Mafia homecoming party. Today, Soho, Buffalo, 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Pre-sale, $60. Tickets at the door, $70. Ticket includes open bar, a free 26 shirt, a pair of code socks, and a chance to meet Mafia fans and former players taking part in the event. And use the promo code BillsMafia for $10 off on tickets. Get your tickets now at mafiaparty.ticketleap.com. I want to promote this event due to the fact that this goes to a great cause. Code Socks has done a lot of awesome work raising money for charities. The Poncho Power Socks are so popular. Of course, those are scattered all across Twitter. Deion Dawkins bought a pair for each member of the Buffalo Bills. Big ups to him. Really nice gesture for Deion Dawkins. And then shortly after that, he stirred up some mac and cheese. But come out. It'll be a great time. I will be there. Some of the Trainwreck Sports guys will be there with me, and I look forward to seeing who else is there as well. So come out, enjoy it. It'll be a good time. It is today, Friday, September 20th, at Soho, Buffalo. So we have a major game on our hands. Each game, each week, as the Buffalo Bills have continued to win. Week 1 against the Jets, Week 2 against the New York Giants. We got a big game ahead of us. Week 3 at home, taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, on the surface, Bills fans can look at the schedule and say, oh, wow, this is a winnable opponent. This is an opponent that Buffalo should beat. But you know it, and I know it. Unfortunately, when we run into those scenarios and situations within the schedule of teams that Buffalo, quote-unquote, should beat, those are oftentimes the opponents that become a little bit of a trap game for us on our schedule. We don't want that. We don't want that at all. We want to see the Bills take on the Bengals with full might, a full stampede, the herd running out onto the field, running over each and every member of the Bengals offense on defense. Our defense against their offense, obviously, Joe Mixon is a key X factor in this game. John Ross, a key X factor in this game. Tyler Boyd, the guy that ultimately helped Buffalo make the playoffs a couple years ago, is a huge factor in this game. Not really so much worried about Buffalo's defense against Cincinnati's offense. I think that'll be a sight to see for sure. Obviously, that's an integral matchup, a key matchup in the game. But I'm more concerned with Buffalo's offense. How will this offense continue to gel together with some of the new pieces that have been added, not just along the offensive line, but wide receivers like Cole Beasley, John Brown? How will they continue to mesh and mold their game with that of Josh Allen? Cole Beasley had a really big 51-yard reception last week. John Brown obviously had a great day. Week 1, John Brown had a massive debut with the Buffalo Bills. 7 catches, 123 yards, and a touchdown, a 38-yard TD reception. Those were big moments in those games. John Brown and Cole Beasley have really been key parts as to why Buffalo's passing attack has been so sustainable these first 2 weeks. Josh Allen throwing for over 250 yards in each game this season. Josh Allen also breaking a record. First quarterback since 1992. Not to date myself, but that's the year that I was born. Josh Allen, the first quarterback since I was born to throw for 200-plus yards in 7 straight games as a Buffalo Bills quarterback. That just shows you that, wow. I mean, Buffalo's quarterback play has not been that good since 1992 as far as the passing attack. Very inconsistent. Buffalo currently at 35 games without a quarterback passing for over 300 yards. I refer to that as the Tyrod Taylor stat due to the fact that Tyrod Taylor, we know it, you know it, and I know it obviously, did not throw for many yards, was not a chain mover through the air, was not a prolific passer by any stretch of the imagination. Josh Allen can be that guy. And on the Thomas Takeover show last Sunday that I hosted with DJ Supreme, Tyler Slate on the Trainwreck Sports Apple Podcast channel. Check that out as well. We recapped the game. This week, we're going to recap the game on the Thomas Takeover post-game show live in Cheektowaga in Studio D. I'll be joined by Degenerate Al of Trainwreck Sports as well as Tyler Slate, DJ Supreme. Very excited to be joined by those guys. I will come to take over that show. I will come to host it, but I will allow those guys their time to obviously speak on the mic and give their take as to why Buffalo hopefully wins this game against the Cincinnati Bengals. But I want to bring everybody up to speed on that. A lot of big things happening for me, for the show, for my brand, for my name that are being sprinkled around, joining show after show after show, collaborating with Trainwreck Sports. It's been a great partnership, and I only expect that partnership to flourish as time passes on, and we move forward. So, yeah. So, all that being said, we have a topic of discussion that I think will be noteworthy, will be definitely a topic of discussion that I think we really need to address first and foremost as far as how the Buffalo Bills match up with the Cincinnati Bengals. Devin Singletary has not practiced all week due to a hamstring injury that he suffered late in the game last week versus the New York Giants. A key component of this Buffalo Bills offense, there's no doubt about it. Devin Singletary has been an X factor. He's been a guy that has really created a lot of big moments in these first 2 weeks. Yards per carry through the roof, yards per catch through the roof. Devin Singletary has been meagerly used, though. Although that's the case, not many touches for a running back of Devin Singletary's caliber as they sort of have eased him into this offense. That's one of my main criticisms for Brian Daboll as the offensive coordinator of the Buffalo Bills, is that he hasn't really thrown Devin Singletary to the wolves. I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know if that's a bad thing, but it's a little bit odd to me that Devin Singletary hasn't been given the ball more with his ability to create and make things happen. I would assume that Devin Singletary would get the ball far more than he has. He hasn't, and now, he's hurt. So that is kind of a double-edged sword, a catch-22, if you will. You would ideally like to see Devin Singletary out there healthy each and every week, but as you know, as I know, in the National Football League, that's not often the case. Guys get hurt. And right now, he is listed as questionable as far as whether or not he will play this week. I got a notification on all of my fantasy apps that Devin Singletary will be questionable heading into this Week 3 battle with the Cincinnati Bengals. And I think that this is an opportunistic time to bring up the fact that Frank Gore will be getting a ton of touches in this game. If Devin Singletary is out, Frank Gore will be getting touches. And of course, another player that will be getting touches will be TJ Yeldon. I look at this glass half full in saying that TJ Yeldon needs to get his fair share of carries as well. TJ Yeldon's a guy that really hasn't seen the ball a whole lot at all. And now, with Devin Singletary listed as doubtful, I think Frank Gore is in line to start, and TJ Yeldon would obviously be taking a bigger pass game role. So this is an obvious setback for the Bills offense. How much of a setback it'll be will be something to see Week 3. We won't know until that moment presents itself. An obvious setback for Devin Singletary. And an obvious setback for the Buffalo Bills offense. Singletary has 130 total yards and a touchdown through his first 2 weeks. I think Singletary will only be out for this week. I haven't heard anything beyond that, but they really need him in there for that New England game, Week 4 at New Era Field, Orchard Park, New York. You really need Devin Singletary out there for that game. A hamstring injury is nothing to mess with for sure. This is something that is not a fun sight to see. So that sucks. I mean, to say that sucks is an understatement, but I think that could create a huge, crux in the plans, if you will, for the Buffalo Bills. If Devin Singletary is not out there, is not, not doing his thing out there. If he's not, firing us on all cylinders, we'll see what happens though. We'll see what happens. We'll see how this translates to the Buffalo Bills game. Now, the Cincinnati Bengals, for a team that is in a state of transition, Zach Taylor, first-year head coach, Andy Dalton, their longtime quarterback now. He's a veteran at this point in the league. This is a team that is definitely in a state of flux. There's no doubt about it. They're really just trying to play as many games to the best of their ability, but they're not a good team. I think that's fair to say. But they do have key playmakers on this team. Joe Mixon is a running back that I really like. Coming out of Oklahoma, he had a huge just black mark on his name due to the incident where he was at a restaurant and he struck a female that he was with at the time. And I mean, what a unfortunate story that was. This guy worked as hard as he worked just to throw his future away. Really the only team that was willing to take a chance on him as a listed first-round talent, but Joe Mixon went somewhere in the 3rd or 4th round, I believe, was the Cincinnati Bengals. And they have reaped the reward, I guess, of that chance because Joe Mixon has played pretty well throughout the last couple years. Last season, he was the top AFC rusher. He had 1,168 yards rushing, an average 4.9 yards per carry. A key X factor, actually drafted, in the 2nd round of the 2017 NFL draft. And there was a statement that Joe Mixon made that I thought was really interesting and was actually pretty classy leading up to this week. Joe Mixon said that he takes inspiration from Frank Gore in seeking a turnaround. Joe Mixon has also blamed the rushing woes on himself, not on the Cincinnati Bengals front 5 offensive line. I think that as far as fantasy football goes, Joe Mixon is a risky play due to the fact that the Buffalo Bills' run defense has been so powerful thus far these first 2 weeks. Le'Veon Bell, I thought he'd have a much better day week 1 against Buffalo than what he did. Not that he had a bad day, but the key statistic of last week's game for Buffalo against Saquon Barkley was that Saquon Barkley had 61 rushing yards in the first quarter, and every quarter beyond that, outside of the fourth, he did reach double-digit rushing totals. But the second and third quarter, he ran for under 10 yards in the quarter of that game, second and third quarter. So I think that Buffalo's defense is very, very tough to game plan for. How will the Cincinnati Bengals attack this Buffalo Bills defense? I don't know. One thing I do know is that this Buffalo Bills defense has been ready each and every week thus far this season. Yes, it's only 2 weeks into the season, but they have been prepared. They have been ready. They have been firing on all cylinders, and this Buffalo Bills defense is something to behold. This Buffalo Bills defense is a defense that I think could etch themselves quite possibly as a top 5 defense in the National Football League this season, maybe even a top 3 defense in the National Football League this season. I look forward to seeing how they tackle Joe Mixon. I look forward to seeing how they tackle a fast playmaker in this offense, one of the fastest players in the National Football League, a guy that has had great production these first 2 weeks in the NFL season, and that is first-round Bengals draft pick John Ross. Last season, John Ross did little to nothing. This season, quite contrary to last season, he has done a whole heck of a lot. 12 targets the first week, 7 catches, 158 yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. And the second week, 8 targets, 4 catches, 112 yards, and a receiving touchdown. Both weeks, he had touchdowns of 40 yards or more. So this guy is somebody that you got to circle on your game plan, cards, as far as a player that can really break things open, can really be stingy out there, can really be somebody that makes plays and makes things happen. I think John Ross could be a real X factor, a real mismatch on this Buffalo Bills defense, and in terms of the Cincinnati Bengals offense, could really be somebody that causes fits, if you will, for the Buffalo Bills. I look forward to that matchup. I look forward to Tyler Boyd. I look forward to seeing the Bills defense attack the Cincinnati Bengals offense. But how will the Buffalo Bills offense attack the Cincinnati Bengals defense? More of the same is what I expect for the Buffalo Bills. More of the same. The Keys to the Game segment from Ryan Thomas to your ears, the listeners, the viewers of the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. What are my keys to the game for the Buffalo Bills offense here week 3? Key number 1, protect and defend Josh Allen. Protect with the offensive line. You've done a good job so far. Mitch Morse, the anchor, as the center. Thank God he has stayed healthy thus far in regular season action for the Buffalo Bills. Protect Josh Allen. Defend Josh Allen. If Josh Allen does decide to use his legs, and these defenses decide to hit him late, these defenses decide to hit him low, you got to protect your guy. You got to shove the defense back. If you're Ty Nsekhe, 6'8", 360 pounds, and I think I'm being generous with that description, you got to throw the defenders down to the ground. I liked what Cody Ford did last week against the Giants. They got a little bit too snippy on the sideline with their quarterback, Josh Allen. Cody Ford said, "Not today. I'm throwing you to the ground. You're going down." I like that. To protect and defend Josh Allen. Key number 2 would be to use your playmakers. If you're Josh Allen, this Buffalo Bills front office invested a lot in building around you with John Brown, building around you with Cole Beasley, building around you with TJ Yeldon, Frank Gore, 2 veteran running backs that you will have at your disposal in this game, week 3, against the Cincinnati Bengals. And key number 3 for the offense for the Buffalo Bills, no turnovers. Limit the interceptions. Limit the fumbles. They did a fantastic job of doing that week 2 in comparison to week 1. I am really looking forward to seeing how this Buffalo Bills offense moves the chains this week against the Cincinnati Bengals defense, which isn't what it once was, but you can't take them too lightly. You can't do it. Okay, keys of the Buffalo Bills defense. Pressure Andy Dalton. They got the defensive front seven to do it. They got the linebackers, Tremaine Edmonds, Matt Milano, Lorenzo Alexander, former guest on the Thomas Take Sports podcast. You have to pressure Andy Dalton. Pressuring Andy Dalton should be an easy task. The Cincinnati Bengals offensive line is full of guys that can't play, full of guys that are overrated, full of guys that we know full well are not starting offensive linemen. John Miller, Cordy Glenn, the injury-prone Cordy Glenn. I don't even know if he's suiting up for this game. Would not be shocked if he didn't, because he's always been hurt. And limit the big plays. Limit the big plays to John Ross. Limit the big runs of Joe Mixon. And Trey White has to be a blanket on Tyler Boyd, another player that will be a key factor in this game. Tyler Eifert, what linebacker will be covering him? Matt Milano, most likely. Those are my key X factors to the game. My biggest Thomas takeaways of the Week 3 pregame show. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. Greatly enjoy bringing you these pregame shows. You can tune into the Thomas Takeover postgame show, which will be live in Studio D in Cheektowaga. Tune in and take care. Also, for any viewers and listeners that are looking for more Thomas Takes, tune in on Twitter at Ryan Thomas Take. Follow me on Twitter at Ryan Thomas Take. You can follow me on Instagram as well at Ryan Thomas Take. Thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in. Don't come to take part. Come to take over. Come to Soho, Buffalo tonight, Friday night, 5 to 10 o'clock. Pre-sale tickets, $60. Promo code Bills Mafia. Tickets at the door, $70. Make it happen.